Hello and blessings, beautiful souls. Avalon here, Sarava, and I shared to you, how are you today? Today I have an April Favourites video for you. I can't believe that we are in April. I don't want to sound like a cliche right now, but I really genuinely cannot believe that we are in April and heading into May, my birthday month. So woo! I am so excited to be able to show you some of my absolute favourite tools of April and tell you a little bit more about them. So stick with me as I take you through some of my April favourites. Alright, so here I am, and I'd first like to show you two books that absolutely took my love and attention. So I've got two. One is a witchy book, like witchcraft reference, how to, that kind of non-fiction business, and the other one is fiction. Specifically, I think this is young adult fiction. I'm not quite sure, but they are both magical in their orientation. So I'm going to go for the fiction first, and this is The Diviners by Libba Bray. This is book one of a quartet of books, all surrounding this concept of the diviners. The protagonist of the story is Evie. She's a young lady that has been sort of shipped off from her tiny little country town to stay with her Uncle Will in New York City during the flapper era. Now, Uncle Will is, wait for it, he's the curator of the Museum of American Folklore, Superstitions, and the Occult, aka the Museum of the Creepy Crawlies. The story surrounds supernatural powers, young people like kind of sparking to life with their like sacred supernatural abilities. There is a supernatural murder, there is crime, there's a lot of intensity. So here it is, a warning. If you are sensitive, you will not like this book, because it does contain supernatural murder, and it's quite graphic, and it's quite... So if you are a sensitive person, this is not the book for you. Skip it, go to something else. But if you are up for a little murder mystery kind of thing with that supernatural, occult, esoteric twist, this one here, very, very tasty. I should mention that I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat, and I read this one with the lights on. I half read the book and then I listened to the audiobook. I highly recommend the audiobook because the narrator of the audiobook does such a fantastic job. Lots of voices, lots of authenticity in the voices. I loved it. It was very entertaining. I buddy read this one kind of with Alora. She's still not finished it. I finished it some weeks ago. So the next book that I'm going to show you is Oldstyle Conjurer by Starr Casas. Oldstyle Conjurer by Starr Casas is not a new book to my collection. I acquired this book some months ago. I kind of did that peripheral skim read thing that we do. I extracted some goodness here, there, and everywhere, and I felt quite satisfied with what I got out of it. But then I got this urge to go deep with it. I got this curiosity. Her name kept on popping up and the book kept on popping up, and I'm like, did I miss something in my like pretty haphazard skim read? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So I have this book, the hard copy. I also got it on Audible, and I have been listening to the Audible and going through it, and I have absolutely loved this book. This is easy one of my favorites. It is an entry point book to hoodoo, rootwork, and folk magic of the Southern Conjure variety. There is reverence in this book. There is a deep respect for the origins of hoodoo. The author, Starr Casas, is very well known, and she approaches her craft with this really beautiful traditional edge. Now, tradition in context with hoodoo, or in the context of hoodoo, rootwork, and conjure, is a little bit of a disputed thing, but I think that she did a very, very good job. I felt that she was trying to be extraordinarily respectful of the origins of hoodoo. That made me feel twice as enthusiastic about this book, I must admit, because care was taken. Breakdowns of practices were there. Things were simplified. Explanations were given, and all in all, I think this is a wonderful, wonderful book if you are looking to get to know the idea of hoodoo and Southern Conjure. Very, very good book to start with. There are many others, of course, but this one here, there's something very warm about it that I have fallen in love with. Okay, so I have two decks that I want to show off to you today. The first is the Muse Tarot, this bad boy right here. This one here is a Sacred Creator deck. We all know what that means. Chris Ann Donnelly has done it again. Now, I was given the Muse Tarot at the same time as I was given the Light Visions Tarot, which, by the way, stole my heart, could not stop using it. And then recently I started to just grab this one. I grabbed it and I kept on grabbing it and I kept on grabbing it. And I've got to say, it is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful deck with alternative names. We start off there with the alternative names. So we have inspiration for wands, fire, emotions, cups, water, voices, swords, air, and materials, pentacles, and earth. The muses are the kings. That's what we've got. And so this is kind of a collage style deck, but not in your typical collage slapped together mixed media way. There is a layering effect that, that goes on. The kings are in landscape. That's the kings in landscape, which can be disorienting. I suppose, because when you're laying the cards out on your altar and you have most of the cards in vertical and then suddenly one in horizontal, it just throws the balance off for me. And because I have such a small reader's table, or it's not small actually, it's overcrowded by my witchcraft paraphernalia. It can be a bit tricky, but this is a really beautiful deck to sit with, to journal with. The resource that comes with this deck is absolutely amazing. It has an online guidebook, and that guidebook, actually, each card goes deep into a poetry, a musing, a meditation. There are all sorts of really beautiful offerings in association with each card so that you can sit with it, muse over it, go deep with it, and have a really great time. Aside from the fact that this deck is beautiful, has this salmon corally color to the sides, to the edges, the gilding, if you will. The cardstock is beautiful. It is 400 GSM. The backing is reversible for those who like to know that kind of information. The box is very sturdy and absolutely beautiful, I must say. And all in all, I've had such a wonderful time with the Muse Tarot, and I highly recommend it to anybody who's interested in this kind of floral, beautiful, feminine collage style deliciousness. The next deck that I'm going to show you is an oldie but a goldie. It is the Mother Mary Oracle by Alana Fairchild with artwork by Shiloh Sophia McLeod. There we go. 44 cards. It's a blue angel. Protection, miracle, and grace of the Holy Mother. I have so many opinions about this deck. The Mother Mary Oracle, it's not my style. It is just not my style. This is the crystal that I keep with it. That beautiful little bad boy there. It comes with a phenomenal guidebook, lots of information per card, I've got to say. Alana Fairchild typically likes to overload her guidebooks, and sometimes that's, welcome, and it definitely is in this deck, and sometimes it's just not. So this is the backing of it. This is the images. Very sacred feminine, very Mother Mary. This is my number one shadow work deck, the one deck that gets me to journal until my fingers bleed, the one deck that makes me cry, the one deck that makes me reflect, the one deck that makes me feel very, very, very uncomfortable. And yes, I reached for it because I was working with a little program in my Patreon this month called Tarot for Troubled Times, and I kept pulling cards in association with the tarot component, and they were just like, oh, just hit you hard. Absolutely beautiful deck. Highly recommended if you're interested in like a soft hand that will stir up all the shadows, that will bring it all up to the surface. If you like to journal, you'll love this one. And it gets you thinking, it gets you out of your comfort zone, and for that reason, I highly recommend it. Not a new deck, but a gold mine for those who are interested in doing the work. All right, next I've got some oils. I love, love, love me some witchcraft oils. I have 2 Juniper Moon oils right now. As you can see, they've been used. I rocked an uncrossing this month, and this one here was everything. Let me tell you what it smells like. Just good. It just smells good. It smells like an uncrossing should. This one has been absolutely beautiful for me to work with. I did my little prayer over the top of it. I was anointing my head just about every day of the month of April. Had a really great time with it. Felt solid connection, really did. And another oil that I've been working with is the Abramelin oil. This is a wonderful anointing oil. It's fantastic for the preparation of tools, for the consecration of tools, and in spirit work, and also as I'm preparing some of my newer decks, I tend to take a little, smells like cinnamon pie. I don't even drop, I just kind of, I do this much here, I'll show you. You might not even be able to see it. Like just that much there, right? I do that much. And then I warm it in my hands, like so, inhale it, because it smells so damn good. And then I rub it around the edges of my decks. As you can see, my hands are not oily. It kind of, I really rub it into my hands beforehand, so I'm not damaging or, you know, leaving that greasiness all over my decks, but it still puts the energy of the oil onto the cards, and it's a way for me to prepare decks that I'm intending on using for spirit work. Okay, next I have a candle that I have been using. As you can see, it's inscribed, it's like prepared, it has been oiled, it has been dusted. This is my spirit candle. This is a beeswax candle that has been prepared by, is it Elder Tree Apothecary? I feel horrified that I forgot the name. I'll link it in the description box below. An Australian apothecary. They made me this beautiful candle during a time where I was in crisis with candles. All the candles that I were buying was just shit. Just shit. Would not burn too fast, burn and crack, so they were too hard. And it was just a huge, huge issue. And I was like, why am I going through this period of stress with my candles? And so a few of my Coven brothers and sisters sent me some, and this was amongst it. And so I'm loving this pillar. I'm loving it so much. So I've got a very natural aroma to it. The fact that I've added oils to that has given that oil aroma as well. But for the most part, it's got a really natural, beautiful aroma. I have been using this one for a couple of weeks now, probably since before April, in fact, and it's barely burnt down. It's a long burning candle, holds its form, doesn't spill out too much, burns really beautifully, really evenly. Just a fantastic, fantastic candle for usability. I have to say that. I can't say enough nice things about it, honestly, because I was having such troubles with candles all of a sudden. And then I got this one, and this seems like a miracle candle. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. Will last you for ages. There are days where I sit here and I do back-to-back readings. The candle will burn for somewhere in the vicinity of 7 hours, and look at it. It was a little bit taller, I'll give it to you that. I'll give that to you, but like that much taller maybe that much. And so it is lasting a really long time, which is exactly what I want with my spirit candles. That's exactly what I want. I don't want to keep churning through my spirit candles. I want one that I can really bond with. And I'm really bonding with this one. So I have a flower. I think this one is sweet pea. I've got to be honest, I've never worked with it before, but it has been on my altar for a long time, and through the month of April I started to handle it because I had these like feelings, if you will, that I wanted to change up my altar, that this altar had just sucked up too much bad juju. This altar was in play when my husband decided to separate. This altar was in play at the start of COVID. This altar was in play when I had a little breakdown because people were being mean to me online. This altar has seen it all. And at this altar, I have wept. I have wept real human tears. And I'm like, it's time to change it up. I just loved seeing it. I loved having it here. It added a beautiful fragrance. It created this subtlety, this environment of subtlety. Very counterproductive to my enthusiasm, however, which I did find a little bit annoying, and I dare say that that's part of the medicine of this plant. It brings the energy level down, keeps things very temperance. So potentially a flower or a botanical that I would associate to the tarot card Temperance. And yeah, I feel like I could stand by that. But I had a really nice time with this. It kind of, now every time I look back on this time of my life, I'm going to think about this flower. That's how it is for me. Because every time I came up here to journal, to read my cards, to have a cry, to have a vent, to speak to my Odisha, I would gaze down on this mess, and there's so much of it. I'll show you. There's more than this on my small table. It's just, they're everywhere. It's everywhere. So there was a lot of it, and it was kind of like the feature for my altar during that time. So I'm going to have that memory of this plant being quite the gentle healer, if you will. All right, so lastly, I wanted to talk about a YouTube channel that I have only just very recently discovered thanks to Little Miss Tea Addict. That is Angela, my beautiful friend and co-admin at the Australian Witchcraft, who has just created her very own YouTube channel. By the way, I'll add that in the description box below. She mentioned to me a channel of a lady that I had never before heard. She actually gave me a few different channels, but this one here I found absolutely delightful, just absolutely delightful. I can honestly say that I haven't been watching a lot of witchcraft channels online of late just because there are reasons, but I can't quite find the words to voice it, and it's nothing bad. It's just like, it's a bit meh, right? So when she sent me this one as a recommendation, I decided to take a look at it, and I was just like, oh wow, it's a beautiful channel, and it belongs to Annie, the Green Witch. Now, some of you may already know who Annie is. For those who don't, I will leave the link to her channel in the description box below. But she's a green witch in every sense of the word. The aesthetic of her videos is genuine to who she is and to the videos that she's making. Her home seems like a green witch's wonderland. She comes at things from a herbal standpoint. She is Wiccan in her orientation, but her herbal demonstrations and her herbal creations and her art, which by the way, it's absolutely stunning, is just, oh, it's so beautiful. I have really been enjoying her videos, and I can't believe that I didn't know who she was. It just goes to show that YouTube is so big that, I mean, I only just found her, and when I found her, she had somewhere in the vicinity of 50,000 subscribers, and I was like, and she had videos that have been up there for over a year. And I was like, how have I never come across this? Because periodically, I don't know if you're like me, but periodically I type into YouTube witchcraft, and I narrow down. I search a few words, and then I narrow down most recent uploads, that kind of stuff. And she has never appeared. I don't know what kind of hashtag she's using, but she's never appeared in that kind of my usual typical search. So it took someone recommending her to me for me to be able to find her. And so that prompts me to ask you, beautiful souls, if you have a wonderful witchcraft channel that you are absolutely loving, then can you drop it in the comments below? Because it's hard these days to find the channels. It's really hard. So please take the time to share your favorite one with me right now, and I will check it out. And so that brings me to the very end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed my April favorites. I did have more favorites, but right now I'm divided. Half of me is up here in the witch's cottage. The other half is down in my home. And so there are some things down in my home that I would have liked to have shown you and mentioned, but the separation made things difficult. I know I could just walk down there and show you the other half. It's not that easy, I assure you. It's freezing cold, raining, and the distance is something that will impact. We're into autumn. here in southern Tasmania, and so all the beautiful color, all the beautiful autumn color is out at the moment, and it's also making things quite cold. So excuses, I know that sound that you can hear in the background is my fire raging. But folks, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If there are any others like it that I can create for you, or something that you would like me to create for you, do let me know. In the meantime, I am wishing you so much love, luck, peace, and joy. And for all the beginner witches, I have things in store, okay? All right, beautiful souls, I will talk to you soon. Mwah! Much love and many blessings.